What's good, sports fans? Are you ready to elevate your live entertainment experience? Well, let me introduce you to SeatGeek, an amazing platform that connects you to your favorite events while saving you money. With SeatGeek, you can easily find tickets for sports games, concerts, and so much more, all in one place. The interface is user-friendly, making it simple to browse and compare prices. And one of the best features is the interactive seating chart. You can see exactly where you'll be sitting and how much you'll be spending, ensuring you get the best value for your money. But here's the best part. Check this out. By using my promo code, ChalkItUpSports, you can enjoy a one-time $20 discount on your first SeatGeek order. That's right, $20 off your first SeatGeek order. Imagine catching that thrilling game or concert without breaking the bank. It's a win-win situation. Plus, you'll be a part of a community of fans who eat, sleep, and breathe live events just as much as you do. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description to download the SeatGeek app today. And don't forget to use my promo code ChalkItUpSports for a one-time $20 discount on your first SeatGeek order. Get excited. Now let's get back to the show. What's good? What's good? What's good? This is your boy Tone DeShields II. You guys are locked in on your dose of Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. As a friendly reminder to all my people who don't get the chance to watch the show live, don't fret. Don't worry. You have the opportunity to watch the show on your own time. Make sure you double back on the YouTube channel. Play the stream if you want. Make sure you guys comment below as well. I love getting you guys' thoughts. Make sure you guys smash that like button as well. And make sure you guys are also subscribed. And on top of that, you have the option of checking out the show on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. You have options. You have 3 options to catch this content. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Take your pick. Whatever makes you feel most comfortable, do what you got to do to make sure you lock in on your Eagles talk. And make sure you guys take advantage of that SeatGeek offer we have available. SeatGeek and I, we have partnered up to give you guys $20 off your first SeatGeek order. Only your first, not your second, not your third, not your fourth, your first. So here's the loophole. Create a whole new SeatGeek account. Get that $20 off. And there you have it. Make sure you guys use Chalk It Up Sports, okay? That's Chalk It Up Sports. That's the promo code, so you can get $20 off your first SeatGeek order. It's baseball season. And those baseball tickets, depending on if your team is good or not, they can get pretty hefty. So make sure you guys get whatever discounts you guys can get and make sure you take advantage of what's available for you guys here at Chalk It Up Sports. Again, the promo code is Chalk It Up Sports. Download the SeatGeek app, type in that promo code, and you're guaranteed $20 off your very first SeatGeek order. And it's straight like that. All right. Now, housekeeping is out the way. Pleasantries are out the way. Now it's time for us to get into some draft talk. Now, I was thinking about this, and I think my man Pro Fan Talk, Coach Marcus from Pro Fan Talk, he brought up this notion that the idea that the Philadelphia Eagles trade back in this draft out of the first round, that is, it shouldn't be overlooked. It shouldn't be understated. It's a very plausible scenario. And I was thinking to myself, like, damn, Why would they trade back out of the first round? But then when he brought up the money aspect of it, how you would be able to probably get the player you want or get a talented player at the top of the second round and not have to pay first round money. The cap flexibility would be enormous. And I'm like, that's a pretty good idea. Because the Philadelphia Eagles, because they won the Super Bowl, they have the 32nd overall pick. And with the 32nd overall pick, you could easily reach. You could easily overdraft somebody. And once you get to that point in the draft, there's a thin line between a guy who's a borderline first rounder, a guy who's a borderline second rounder. Like the line between talent becomes thinner, if that makes sense to you guys. Like if you're picking in the top 10, there's no reason for you to trade out of the first round. Or if you're picking in the top 15, even if you're picking in the high 20s, right? 20, 21, 22, 23, like there's no reason for you to really trade back. But if you're picking like in the 30s, like the Eagles are, like the Chiefs are, right? You could easily justify trading back to a top second round pick, and you can leverage that first round pick and get significantly more draft picks, and you can still get a top tier talent. That's something to think about. That is definitely something to think about. But I want to get into these top 30 visits because we're not going to be here too long. We're going to be here for about a solid hour. At 12 p.m. Eastern time, we have the link up featuring Simone Stanley, Lord Brunson, and yours truly, Tone DeShields II. Make sure you guys tune in at the Link Up YouTube channel. The Link Up YouTube channel is where you get your exclusive full-length episodes, your live streams, and make sure you guys are subscribed to that. It really will help that channel grow. So, again, the Link Up, 12 p.m. Eastern time, Simone Stanley, Lord Brunson, and myself. And we're going to give you guys some good Eagles talk. But for right now, you guys have me for a solid hour until then. So let's get into an update of the Philadelphia Eagles top 30 visits. The Eagles have invited 3 new players for top 30 visits. That's TJ Sanders, Jalen Reed, and Jalen Smith. Those are your most recent top 30 visits. Now, Jalen Smith is a 5'10" corner. Jalen Reed is a 6-foot safety, 211 pounds. And TJ Sanders, a 6'4" defensive tackle, a 6'4" interior defensive lineman, 297 pounds. And when you look at TJ Sanders' profile, him specifically, first of all, his player rating is 87 out of 100. He has a very high player rating. His positional ranking amongst all defensive linemen is 14th. He ran a 4.95 40-yard dash time, and he's 297 pounds. Now, that 40-yard dash time it's really good for his size. For a D tackle, for an interior defensive lineman, a guy who's 6'4", 297, that's a pretty good time. But what I'm noticing about his profile is the Eagles have an affinity for these tweener types on the interior. Now, Jalen Carter, he's like 313, 315, something like that. Jalen Carter, he's a very unique player in how dominant he is. Jordan Davis, he's like 330, 340, like 6'5", 6'6", big dude. But when it came to Milton Williams, right? A guy who was like maybe 6'1", like 297, 290. When it came to Moro Ojomo, a guy who was like 6'2", something like that, 6'3", I think, 6'1", 6'2", around the same profile, like 290, 295 between there. Guys who are under 300 pounds. typically your D tackle is over 300, but they really like these tweener types. They really like these tweener types, guys that can move up and down the defensive line, guys who have positional versatility. They really like athletes at that defensive tackle spot. But TJ Sanders, in his last college season, he forced 4 sacks, had 51 tackles, and 29 solo tackles. His projected position is a 3-tech defensive lineman. 3 technique, if you don't know, 3 technique is when you line up on the outside shoulder of the guard. He's 21 years old. He'll probably be 22 when the season starts. Yeah, he'll be 22 when the season starts, so he's a pretty young prospect. 6'4", 297, good hands, 10-inch hands. Wingspan is decent, 80-inch wingspan. Arm length is fair, 33 inches. Again, the 40-yard dash time is what stands out in the broad jump. 40-yard dash ran a 4.95. And the broad jump, 112 inches. Vertical, 31.5 inches. So this guy's an athlete. This guy's an athlete, has quick feet. And you can see it on the tape. You can see it on the film. I mean, the guy's get off his nuts. Pause. And I'm looking here at the average rating of offenses he's had to face. He's faced offenses with an 80% grade. That's pretty tall as far as the offenses he's had to play. He has an 87 overall rating himself. But the average rating of the opposition that he's had to face has an 80% grade. He has a 73% tackling grade, an 87% pass rush grade, and an 85% run defense grade. He's projected to be an early second-round pick, an early day 2 pick. His overall ranking in the draft is 38th amongst his peers, and he's ranked 14th amongst all defensive linemen. That's edge rushers, that's D tackles, all put together in one pot. That's pretty good. He's played in 38 college games. He's played over 1,100 college snaps. Now, that number is kind of low to me. I would expect that number to be higher. Let's find out why. So his freshman season, he only played in 2 games. His sophomore season, played in 12 games. His junior season, played in 12 games. In his 2024, his senior season, his last season, he played in 13 games. So he's been available for the games. But he's clearly been a rotational defensive lineman. That's what I'm getting out of it. That's what I'm getting out of this. On top of that, the guy has had 4 sacks. He got 4 sacks in 2024, 4.5 sacks in 2023. He was a 3-star recruit coming out of high school all the way around, according to ESPN, 24/7 Sports, and Rivals.com. And as far as his player comparisons, they compare him to DeMarvin Leal out of Texas A&M, Michael Hall Jr. out of Ohio State, and Levi Onwuzurike out of Washington. Now let's get to the draft scouting report here. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Where are we here? So it says here, TJ Sanders shows intriguing potential as an interior pass rusher with legitimate speed off the ball. His performance against Georgia was eye-opening. The way he split double teams and cornered through the A-gap showed rare movement skills for a 290-pounder. But that same game also highlighted his limitations, as he wore down late and struggled to maintain his anchor against sustained double teams. So there we go. Like his motor isn't the best. Granted, That's how it was for Jalen Carter when he came in. That's how it was for Jordan Davis when he came in. The motor wasn't all the way there. Is that something that Clinton Hurt and Vic Fangio can get right? Absolutely. Absolutely. But as it says here, he tended to wear down late in games. Now, granted, in Philadelphia, he's not going to have to be a full 3-down guy. He's not going to have to be a full-time starter here if he's drafted here. He would be a rotational guy, rotating with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and Moro Ojomo. So his snap count would definitely be reasonable. He doesn't have to be the guy. But still, knowing that he wears down late in games can be something that you have to look out for. It's something you have to coach around. The run game remains a work in progress. When his technique is on point, Sanders can be disruptive. His backfield penetration against Missouri's zone scheme was textbook. However, his pad level becomes erratic when faced with power running attacks, and his lack of mass shows up when teams run directly at him. He'll need dedicated coaching to develop the technical consistency required for 3-down duty at the next level. So this guy is clearly going to be a pass down specialist. He's a guy that you don't want to expose too much in the run game just yet, but also he's a guy that's relied on talent, relied on skill, relied on his speed, and therefore he can get caught out of technique. He can get caught lacking in run defense. Like they said, his pad level becomes erratic. And it says here when his technique is on point, he can be disruptive. So that just speaks to me about discipline. That speaks to me about getting in the NFL program and refining those tools that he has. But I think TJ Sanders has a lot to work with, if you ask me. It says here also Sanders profiles as a designated pass rush specialist, like I said, early in his career, who could develop into more with time. His first step quickness and natural pass rush instincts will earn him immediate snaps and sub packages. But his path to becoming an every down player depends heavily on adding functional strength and improving his consistency against the run. The tools are there for him to become an excellent starter, but expecting immediate 3-down impact would be setting him up for failure. Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. He's a guy you got to work with. He's a guy that has talent, has clear and obvious pass rush ability, but at the same time, you got to work on that motor. You got to work on that technique. That's how I look at TJ Sanders. As Blunt says, I like this profile for what we need, which is D-line depth. Morrow moves into the starting lineup, and we take Sanders into his spot. He has more of a Javon Hargrave type. He's more of a Javon Hargrave type when he was younger. So I don't know if Moro Ojomo would be the starter because I think they still look at Jordan Davis as the starter next to Jalen Carter. Jordan Davis is he's a first down player, right? He's an early down. He's an early down player. So I think by default that makes Jordan Davis the starter over Moro Ojomo. But I get what you're saying though. Like regardless, Moro Ojomo and TJ Sanders, they would be rotating with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis when need be. Jordan Davis will be the one who's likely off the field. The question is, Moro Ojomo, he steps in for Jordan Davis in those pass rush situations. TJ Sanders steps in for whoever he needs to step in for, be it if it's for Jalen Carter when Jalen Carter needs a breather. You're not asking TJ Sanders to be the guy early, and I think that's a good situation for him to be in. Coming to Philadelphia, when you got a defensive tackle room that has Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Ojomo, Thomas Booker IV, Gabe Hall, you're surrounded by some pretty Byron Young. You're surrounded by some pretty talented. You're surrounded by some pretty talented defensive linemen, defensive tackles to be specific. And because he's 6'4", 297, you never know. You may see him moved all up and down that line, but he's definitely a 3 technique for sure. Like Milton Williams, like Moro Ojomo, those guys are 3 techniques. But I like this guy, TJ Sanders, on the tape, his speed, strong hands, ability to just get past offensive linemen, it stands out. It stands out for sure. But he has things to work on, like all these college guys do. He has plenty to work on, like most of these college guys do. All right. Let's see here. Good morning, Ashan. How you feeling, my man? All right. Let's move on to our next guy from the top 30 visits. We have Jalen Reed. Jalen Reed at safety. Now, Jalen Reed is an interesting prospect. We actually talked about Jalen Reed yesterday because we actually ended up drafting Jalen. We ended up drafting Jalen Reed in our mock draft 3.0. So we're going to revisit Jalen Reed, discuss the strengths, the weaknesses, his scouting report, get into the bio. Jalen Reed, 6 feet, 211 pounds, went to Penn State, has an overall player rating of 80.0. His positional ranking amongst all DBs is 30th, and he ran a 4.49 40-yard dash. He had 3 interceptions, 3 passes defensed, and 98 tackles in 51 solo. For a safety, you look at him and say, wow, that's a lot of tackles. And clearly he's a guy that gets downhill. We talked about how Jalen Reed, his role is seen as a man zone slot, a nickel safety. So you'll see him, a guy with his skill set, a guy who gets downhill, tackles well, plays the run very well, still has development left to be desired in coverage. But he's a guy that is an athlete. He's a guy that is physical. He's a guy that loves to get into he's a guy that loves to get into the action. So you may see him in blitz packages. You may see him in sub packages like big nickel. You know, you don't want him being caught up in a situation where he has to play single high just yet. But you want him in a situation where he can come in, maybe be that third safety on the football field. You bring him or you play him closer to the line of scrimmage. You allow him to roam. You allow him to get downhill. You allow him to attack the quarterback. You allow him to get active in run defense. He's a guy that tackles and he tackles well. He's willing, by the way. He's a willing tackler, and that stands out to me as far as safeties go, as far as DBs go. A lot of these DBs don't like to tackle. But yeah, Jalen Reed ran a 4.49 40-yard dash. He's 22 years old. His birthday is January 29th, 2003. So he'll be 23 once the playoffs start. Again, the 40-yard dash time is very strong. And his 10-yard split, he ran a 1.51 10-yard split. So that's really, really good. That means that, like, that first step, that ability to get downhill quick stands out with the 1.51 10-yard split, the 40-yard dash 4.49. Doesn't have big hands at all. His vertical isn't the best. So you can't really again, he's a physical dude, but as far as jumping out the gym, as far as high pointing the ball with these 6'2", 6'3", long arm wide receivers, you may not see him be able to make too much of an impact there. He's going to make most of his impact just being physical. But again, he's a guy that has a lot of work to do in coverage. He bench pressed 19 reps, 225 pounds. Listen, he's a strong kid. The average grade, the average rating of defenses he's faced, or of offenses he's faced, the average grade of offenses he's faced has a 79% grade. His passer rating when target is 98.9. So again, he still has a lot of room to grow in coverage. He has a 76% tackling grade, 85% run defense grade, a 60% coverage grade, a 67% zone coverage grade, and a man press grade of 58%. He's projected to go in the 6th round. Overall ranking of 186th amongst all players in the draft, and he's the 30th ranked DB. That includes safeties, nickels, and corners all alike. 49 college games played, just over 1,900 snaps. Now, what I'm curious about is the snap count. So his freshman year played in 8 games. His sophomore season in 2022 played in 13 games. His junior season in 2023 played in 13 games. And his 2024 season, his senior season, he played in 16 games. Over the course of his college career, 5 interceptions, 3.5 sacks, 13 tackles for loss. So he's a guy that can get in the backfield, 7 pass deflections as well. and he returned 1 interception for a touchdown, and he has 1 forced fumble. So the guy's physical. The guy gets in the backfield, he attacks the quarterback, and every now and again, he may be able to snag an interception for you. But nonetheless, let's get to the player profile here. Oh, and also he was a 4-star athlete coming out of high school. 4 stars all the way around. So it says here, as far as his draft profile, Jalen Reed is a Detroit native who made his mark at Martin Luther King Jr. High School. Reed's path to Penn State was paved with impressive accolades, including all-state honors and a state championship. The 4-star recruit showed early promise, earning playing time as a true freshman before steadily climbing the depth chart to become a full-time starter. His junior season marked a turning point as he started all 13 games, notching 46 tackles and securing his first 2 career interceptions while earning all Big Ten honorable mention recognition. Reed's senior campaign has been his most impactful, highlighted by a game-changing pick 6 against Wisconsin that showcased his ability to deliver in crucial moments. His versatility has been on full display in defensive coordinator Tom Allen's system, where he's thrived both as a traditional safety and in the hybrid line position, drawing comparisons to former Penn State standouts Jair Brown and Jaquan Brisker. Now let's get to the overall scouting report summary. A physical tone setter with the versatility to fill multiple roles in an NFL defensive backfield. Jalen Reed brings immediate value on all 4 special teams units while developing into a defensive contributor. His ability to diagnify plays quickly and attack downhill jumps off the tape, particularly when working in the box or as an overhang defender. The explosion he generates through contact and reliable tackling technique will translate well to the next level. So you'll definitely see him active on special teams. You'll definitely see him playing in the box, playing downhill, being a big nickel safety, especially early on in his career. He still has a lot of growing to do in coverage. What separates Reed from other day 3 safeties is his combination of football intelligence and scheme flexibility. He's shown consistent growth in coverage, recognition, and pre-snap adjustments, suggesting untapped potential as he continues developing. While he may not have the pure range to thrive as a single high safety, Jalen Reed's instincts and physicality make him an ideal fit for quarters coverage schemes or defensive packages utilizing 3 safeties. Ultimately, Jalen Reed represents solid value in the middle rounds as a high floor prospect who can contribute immediately while developing into a potential starter. His ceiling will depend largely on continued refinement of his coverage skills, but his floor is secure given his special teams prowess and ability to play multiple roles. The film shows a player who brings infectious energy and consistently makes his presence felt, the kind of tone setter who elevates the physicality of both practice and game day. So, Jalen Reed, he's somebody that made it on our mock draft yesterday. Well, the Monday mock draft. We talked about him yesterday in detail on the show. And look, talented kid, talented guy, still has room to grow in coverage, but plays with intensity, plays with physicality. The kind of guy that's a grinder, is going to work hard. He would help. You would love to have him on your team, but has to continue to raise that ceiling. The floor is secure, but the ceiling, he has to continue to raise that ceiling. AJ Jones in the live chat, he says he sounds like he could be in the box more than roaming free. Yeah, I agree with that. J62 Moon says, I think bringing in a safety and Justin Simmons security now and security in the future. Okay, I see what you're saying. He says, I think bring in the safety and Justin Simmons security now and security in the future. So, it's funny. Jalen Reed kind of reminds me of Sidney Brown, if I'm being honest. Sidney Brown is a guy who's physical, still has room to grow in coverage, but very physical, plays downhill, plays fast. You know what I mean? And also, I am hearing the rumors about Justin Simmons as well. Justin Simmons, he's talking like he already got the go from the Eagles. You know what I mean? Justin Simmons talked about how he would love to play in Philadelphia. He's used to Vic Fangio, and he's used to what Vic Fangio likes to. He knows what Vic Fangio likes to do very well. He talked about the roster, talked about the depth, and Reed Blankenship, and Cooper DeJean and guys like that. So he's done his homework on the roster. He's done his homework on the team. We'll see where Justin Simmons ends up. But Jalen Reed, interesting prospect, but he's somebody that can definitely fall to day 3. I'll be surprised if he's selected on day 2. I'll be surprised. K. Order Green says, reminds me of Kevon Wallace. Man, I have respect for Kevon Wallace, but he never panned out to what we need him to be. He never panned out to what we need him to be, man. That's all I can say about that. D. Aldridge says we should still get Simmons, the young safety, can learn from him. I mean, I'm not against bringing in Simmons. I'm just trying to figure out what the holdup is. That's all. S. Blunt says, I look at Justin Simmons like a Dory Jackson, a vet to give the young guys competition. Yeah. And Justin Simmons, he's not coming off of a bad year, by the way. He's not coming off a bad year at all. Justin Simmons is somebody who still can play at a high level. So it all remains to be seen, but Justin Simmons is a guy who can play very well. As Blunt says, compensatory picks, you bring in the vet after the draft so you don't lose compensatory picks. That's a good point. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Alex says we need more of a center field type safety than a box safety. Yeah, I would agree with that now. I would definitely agree with that. All right. Kibo says, so we can't afford CJ but we can afford Simmons. I'll be trying to tell y'all that CJ situation was a combination of cash and internal issues. Like the money was the least of the problem, but it was a part of the issue. Like if I had to give you a percentage, I would say the CJ thing was probably 60-40, 60% internal, 40% cash. 60% internal, 40% cash. And again, the CJ thing it wasn't about the cap space, it was about the cash. He wanted more cash. That's what people got to understand, Kibo. CJ wanted more money. That's what I'm under the assumption of. All right, let's move on to our last top 30 visit edition. Jalen Smith, cornerback out of USC. Now, me personally, I prefer my cornerbacks to be 6 feet. You know what I mean? Close to 200 pounds. Me personally. But nonetheless, Jalen Smith, 5'10", 187, has an overall player rating of 77.1 out of 100. Went to USC. He's a senior. Out of all DBs, he's the 46th ranked defensive back. And he ran a 4.45 40-yard dash time, which is decent. That's pretty good. He had 2 interceptions, 2 passes defense, 58 tackles, 39 solo. He's looked at as a dual role man corner and a press corner as well. A dual role man press corner. So 21 years old. He'll be 22 in November. He was invited to the Senior Bowl. Again, that 40-yard dash time, it's decent. It's solid. Or 4.45. The broad jump, solid. Bench press, solid. He doesn't have long arms. That is something that could be a problem for me. That could be a problem for me. You're not that tall. Your arms, you don't have long arms, and you don't have a crazy vertical. So you can see why a guy like this, would fall in the draft. Look at this. His measurables. The vertical, not great. The arm length, not great. The wingspan, mediocre, average pretty much. The 10-yard split, average, below average, something like that. The broad jump bench press is average. His 40 is just good. Hand size, average, just good. So he's not somebody that just stands out as far as the measurables. He's not. Now, the average rating of offenses he's faced has an 80% grade. The passer rating when targeted has an average of 75.8. So that's decent. That's okay. His tackling has a 73% grade. Run defense is 76% grade. His coverage is 77% grade. Zone coverage, 78% grade, and his man press is 69%. So he's a relatively average corner, and he doesn't stand out too much. He's projected to go undrafted. That's crazy. He's not even projected to be drafted, not even in the 7th round. His overall ranking is 256th amongst all players. His positional ranking is 46th amongst all DBs. He's played in 39 college games, logging in over 1,900 snaps. His rating at a high school, he was a 4-star according to Rivals.com and 24/7 Sports, respectively, and he was a 3-star athlete according to ESPN. Now, let's get to this brother's draft profile, the bio. It says the Friday Night Lights at Bishop Alemany High School first revealed Jalen Smith's dynamic playmaking ability as he starred on both sides of the ball while earning Prep Star All-American honors. His junior year performance, 60 tackles, 2 picks on defense, plus 5 total touchdowns as a receiver and returner, caught the attention of Power 5 programs nationwide. A brief cameo in Snoop Dogg's football documentary added some Hollywood flair to his recruiting profile, but it was his 4-star talent that ultimately landed him at USC. The Trojans' coaching carousel turned Smith's development into a winding journey through the secondary. 3 different defensive coordinators deployed him at safety, nickel, and corner while searching for his optimal role. That constant position shuffling produced mixed results until his breakout junior season, where he racked up 75 tackles and earned Holiday Bowl defensive MVP honors and a statement performance against Louisville that showcased his full potential. DeAnton Lynn's arrival in 2024 finally brought stability, as Smith settled in at cornerback and began showing the consistency that had previously eluded him. His transformation was evident in USC's season opener against LSU, where he saved a crucial fourth-quarter drive by knifing through traffic to make a textbook open field tackle at the goal line. That play epitomized Smith's senior year evolution. No longer just an athlete playing defensive back, but a technician who could diagnose and destroy plays with equal measure. So this kid, he's dealt with a lot of coaching turnover. It's kind of gone against his development, and it made it difficult for him to really refine his technique and his skills at the corner position. But senior year, he was able to really, really tap in. Now, here's his overall scouting report summary. Jalen Smith's film reveals a developmental prospect whose versatility could be both a blessing and curse at the next level. His experience across the secondary provides scheme flexibility, but that constant position switching has left some fundamental gaps that need addressing through focused coaching. The flashes of brilliance, like his game-saving tackle against LSU and lockdown coverage against Washington's quick game, show what Smith can become with proper development. However, his overall body of work suggests a player who will need time to refine his technique before competing for defensive snaps. Coordinators will see Smith as an intriguing late round option with immediate special teams value and upside as a sub package defender. His competitive nature and willingness to contribute in multiple phases could help him stick on the roster while developing into a reliable nickel corner down the line. So that's pretty much where he's at right now. He's a guy that's played safety, played corner, played nickel, right? He's a guy that has positional versatility because he's had to do it. He's had to fight to stay on the roster. He's had to fight to prove himself to all these different coordinators, all these different coaches at USC. But he finally found his footing as an outside corner at USC his senior year. But I don't think that's what he's going to be in the NFL. He's likely going to be a nickel, a guy using sub packages, a guy you use on special teams. You know what I'm saying? He played receiver and he also played cornerback in high school. Maybe he can be seen as a returner on some team in the NFL, but he's not somebody, in my opinion, that stands out athletically. The 40-yard dash isn't spectacular. It's good. It's decent. The vertical jump isn't spectacular. Small hands, short arms. Nothing really. He doesn't really have any outlier traits that gives you a reason to take a chance on him. But smart player because he's had to learn different positions based off of the coaches he's had to deal with. He's a smart player. He's adaptable. He's not afraid of change. He thrives in it, as a matter of fact. He's a mentally tough player to be able to withstand the constant coaching turnover. So maybe you put him in a situation where he's with Vic Fangio, Christian Parker. He's with Roy. Is it Roy Anderson? My man, Roy Anderson. I think his name is Roy Anderson. Let me make sure I give my man his flowers. Yep, Roy Anderson. He's the cornerbacks coach. So he works with Christian Parker. And Joe Casper is a safeties coach as well. So Joe Casper and Roy Anderson, safeties coach and cornerback coach respectively, works under Christian Parker. Christian Parker is the lead defensive backs coach. So maybe they can get something out of him. Maybe they can find out where his niche is in the NFL. I think he'll likely be a nickel in the NFL. All right, let's get to some of your comments here. Dank Jinwoo says he sounds perfect for Christian Parker. It's possible. AJ Jones says in 1 to 2 years, learning one position, he could be a bad dude. It's possible, man. You know, again, he's been dealing with a lot of coaching turnover in college, so he really wasn't able to settle in on one position until I think his senior year. As Blunt says, the NFL Combine profile projects him to be a 6th-round pick, and they have him listed as a backup. So, yeah, some players have him listed as a 6th-round pick or project him as a 6th round. Some places project him as going undrafted, right? So that's pretty much where you see him at. Day 3 pick at most, undrafted signing. Or, I'm sorry, a day 3 pick at best, undrafted guy at worst. As Blunt says, Adoree Jackson is a solid replacement for Isaiah Rodgers. A guy like this is more like Maddox. Yeah, I agree with that. That's a pretty good point. That's a pretty good point. Dane Jinwoo says his measurements are similar to Trip McDuffie. He said McDuffie had a 38-inch vertical, though. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, McDuffie, he jumped, but again, that's what helps McDuffie stand out. That's what that vertical is what allows McDuffie to play larger than what he is. That 38-inch vertical helps McDuffie overcome the short arms, helps him overcome the lack of height, the lack of size. When you're 5'10, 187, you run a 4.45, but you only have a 32.5-inch vertical, and your arms are short as it is, that doesn't help you stand out. That makes your life more difficult. So, you know, although his measurements are similar to Trip McDuffie's, that 38-inch vertical is the difference. That's the difference. AJ Jones looks at him as Cooper DeJean's backup and also a special teams player for Philly. So, yeah, Jalen Smith out of USC. All right. So, there you have it. Those are our top 30 visit updates. You have Jalen Smith. You have Jalen Reed out of Penn State. And you have TJ Sanders, defensive tackle out of South Carolina. All right. But yeah, like I told you guys, today's show isn't going to be too long. I have another live stream coming up for you guys. In about a half an hour. We have the link up schedule. So make sure you guys tune into the link up featuring Simone Stanley, Lord Brunson, and myself, Tone DeShields II. We're going to cover some of these top 30 visits. We're going to talk about the NFL draft. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Amon-Ra St. Brown comments about the Eagles because, again, I want to get Lord Brunson and I want to get Simone Stanley's thoughts on it. You know, me personally, I'm of the mindset, look, he didn't crash out, but at the same time, be careful what you ask for, dog, because y'all had y'all opportunity and y'all blew it. Y'all didn't live up to y'all end of the bargain. Y'all didn't measure up. Y'all underperformed against an overrated Commanders team. So I want to get the opportunity to pick the brain of Simone Stanley and Laura Brunson as it pertains to that topic. So, and we're obviously going to have fun. We're going to talk about more things than that. Make sure you guys tune in at 12 p.m. Eastern time. Tune in at 12 noon Eastern time with Simone Stanley, Laura Brunson, and myself, Tone DeShields II, as we link up to talk about your Philadelphia Eagles, you guys. So smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed. And also make sure you guys continue to comment below. It means a lot and it helps the channel grow. I've been your humble host, Tone DeShields II. You guys have been tuned in to Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. And by the way, we will be doing a mock draft 4.0. We will be doing our mock draft 4.0 tomorrow. So make sure you guys tune in, and I'll see you next time.